are discussing what does it mean. Does it matter to the Eibishter whether you shecht from the front or the back? Why would it matter to him? And the conclusion from that is that the mitzvahs were given only for the benefit of the human being. The tzad of behemes habriyos. So how is it explained in Kabbalah that the level in which it doesn't matter to the Eibishter, that's on a very, very high level. Adein yochid sheirish hashoroshim. That part of the Eibishter that is the root of the roots, there it doesn't matter. But in the lower levels, it does matter. That's what we're up to. We're up to the ois that begins omnam. Yeah.
Omnam. Yeah. In some form, it actually has a gimel by it.
Okay.
Omnam, and dan tzarich lahavin. You still have to understand that the pasuk that says you should serve Hashem does not only refer to Seder Shtashlis, the level of Seder Shtashlis, Shasham Nageya Inyan Ha'aveda Kanal. Because the spiritual, the Ruchnistika, Ruchnistika of Aveda, like we said earlier,
which means that you're doing something that the Eibishter does care about.
Right, which is the lower level of Keser. Elagam al-B'chinas Shlomaylam Mishdashlos. But also we see that this is talking about Lumal Miseder Shtashlos.
Right, and even on the highest levels.
Highest levels of Keser.
Where do we see that? Ubehekdim
hadiyuk b'lshana kasov. This can be found from the lesson of the pasuk. Sheyesh by stira meiresha l'seifa. There's a seemingly contradiction between the beginning and the end of the pasuk. B'chila aimer babatem ezvayel kechem uverech aimer l'shem nistar. The beginning starts off saying "Vatem ezvayel kechem," and if you do that, he will bench you, etc. And that is Belashain Nistar, which means like third person, like narration.
Mm-hmm.
Kishlishiyam daber, like third person.
What does that mean?
Meaning it isn't Hashem speaking? Moshe speaking?
No, it says, and you should serve the Eibishter. Who's saying that? So whoever is saying it is not identified. So it's Loshen Nister. But Achakach.
It says and I shall remove, which is first person. So beginning of the pasuk, we don't know.
About Atzmei.
About Atzmei. About himself, similar to Hashem.
Right. So why is that contradiction? The answer is
Alpi Mashakasov Haramban Akdomasei Pirish Al Torah. This can be clarified. You can explain it according to what the Ramban says in his Hektim to his Pirish on the Torah. Shalai Kasav Moshe Rabbeinu HaTorah. K'medaber ba'at atzmechu. Lai Kasav Moshe Rabbeinu tells for Moshe k'medaber ba'at atzmechu. Ela k'lo shlishi medaber. Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it in third person view.
Right.
Hainu ki'ilu ein hamedaber sham have v'lei Moshe.
Whoever the narrator is, it's not Hashem and it's not Moshe.
can't be Moshe because why can't it be
Go ahead, continue. He says why. Ukamai.
For example, when Torah says, Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, She'ein zeh dibur shel Moshe. This can't be Moshe, because She'az hayitzarech lemar v'daber Hashem elai. Then, if it was Moshe speaking, he would have said, Hashem spoke to me. Chein ein zeh dibur shel Havaya.
It's also not the Eibishter speaking.
Nor can these be can this be first person view Hashem speaking? And I spoke to Moshe. Ella who kashlishi, rather it must be a third person.
Not the Eibishter. Right.
It can't be Hashem or Moshe speaking about what happened with Hashem and Moshe.
Somebody is telling you what Hashem said to Moshe. So who is that somebody?
The third person speaking is greater than them, than Moshe and Hashem. Moshe and Hashem.
Yeah.
L'mayla m'chinas Moshe, u'mayla gam m'chinas Shem Havaya. Ki Shem Havaya im hayasa haya hayve v'yeka echad. If it was Shem Havaya,
even though
Shem Havaya is past, present, and future, nevertheless, Harei hu shayach his havus v'shtashlos.
Although Shem Havaya is describing a part of the Eibishter that is above time, not limited by time, so he can be past, present, and future all at the same time. So that sounds like it's higher than Hishtalshalos. Yet,
it also speaks about Hishtalshalos, the word that the worlds that come into existence in the future.
Yeah, the Shem Havaya, even though it's not in Hishtalshalos, it has a shaychus to Hishtalshalos. It's the source of the Hishtalshalos.
Hishtalshalos is basically the same thing as future.
Which?
Hishtalshalos basically means the future.
No, Hishtalshalos means the world in which time is divided into past, present, and future. Whereas by the Eibishter, they're not divided. But still, Shem Havaya, if you say he is, was, and will be all in one, so you're still measuring him by time. But you're saying he's higher than time. So it means that he has some connection to time. You don't say Einstein was better than a stone. Well, that's funny. Einstein. You say Einstein was better than a stone. If there's no connection between them, then you can't say this one is better than that one. So when you say Shem Havaya is higher than time, that means that he has some similarity to time.
You only make a comparison to one thing and another if they have any sort of shaykhus to each other.
Right. So what is higher than Shem Havaya?
Hishtalshalos? No. Ma'alim Hishtalshalos. Higher than Shem Havaya, we didn't say yet, did we?
Hishtalshalos is lower than Shem Havaya. But Shem Havaya has some kind of relationship with Hishtalshalos. So what is higher than Shem Havaya? V'habechina shalamayla mishneihen.
Shalamayla mishneihen Moshe v'Havaya hu atzmus u'mahus ein separku. Higher than that is Ein Sof Baruch Hu.
The Eibishter himself. Shehu hamedaber u'mesaper.
Dat zählt, was ist gekommen in Seder Stashus. So higher than Avaya in Sef Baruch Hu is what describes what happens.
Yeah, so he is the narrator. He is that third voice who is telling you what's going on between Havaya and Moshe. Eides hadibur d'shem Havaya el Moshe.
Is the fact that he's saying what's going on in Neshtashalos means that he has episode shaykhs to it?
No. No. But it's saying that the Eibishter, that the Torah is the Eibishter himself speaking. V'nikra shlishi davke. Why is he called the shlishi? The third voice.
Derech Mashakasov Yechayenu miyoymayim b'yom hashlishi. Similar to the lashon that is used in the pasuk that says, "He has given us life for 2 days on the third day," which is talking about Thursday, Tuesday.
And on the third day, chulu, gamer.
Right. Actually, gamer. Kidua shechayinu miyoymayim kari al kolos hashtashlos. And we know that pasuk is speaking about the general idea of hishtashlos.
And it's called 2 days. Why is it called 2 days?
B'chinas mimah, they call it b'chinas seviv al almin.
Hishtalshelus is made up of 2 parts. Memala kol almim and seviv kol almim. Or Eires and Kalim.
Eires b'chinas kelim.
Or on another level?
Another level?
Yeah. B'chinas ha'eir k'mei shehu la'atzmei, v'hagilui k'mei shehu l'zulosei. These are the 2 parts of Hishtalshelus. So when it says 2 days, it's talking about Hishtalshelus. What is the third day? B'yom hashlishi.
Shlishi kari al atzmos m'hus ein Sef Baruch Hu.
So that's why the narrator of the Torah is called the Shlishi, because he is not part of Hishtalshelus.
How do we make these references and comparisons? Like, how do we know that the pasuk says on the second day this, and then the third day that? And so we say that on the second day is talking about Hishtalshelus, and the third day is speaking about even greater than Hishtalshelus or in Sef Baruch Hu. Like, why? How does the pasuk say that? What in the pasuk means that?
There's Kaneda. Okay, Yadua. Everybody knows that. No, so he tells you in footnote 32.
It's just a pirish?
Huh?
Just a pirish? I don't know.
Footnote 32. All right, so Shnayim Miyedeya. You know the song?
That song?
Shnayim Miyedeya, Shnayim Ani Yedeya. What is 2?
Hishtalshelus.
Yeah, but in the song, how does it say it? Shnei Luches Habris, right?
Yeah.
What are the Shnei Luches Habris? Mitzvahs Aseh, Mitzvahs Leitzeseh.
Right.
That's what makes up Seder Hishtalshelus. Mitzvahs aseh is the eir. Mitzvahs loiseh is the kelim.
Whoa.
So we know what the shlishi is. The shlishi means the Eibishter himself. So what is this explaining? We're asking the question in the pasuk, Va'avadatem es Hashem Elokeichem. Part of the pasuk is concealed. There's no shlishi. I'm sorry. There is a shlishi, and part of the pasuk, the shlishi talks for himself. So now we'll understand. V'zehu shebetchila ne'amar.
V'zehu shebetchila ne'amar v'avadatem es Hashem Elokeichem u'beirach gomer. So this is what it means. That in the beginning it says v'avadatem. Well, it's shlishi medaber aimer dechashar v'avadatem es Hashem Elokeichem. So this is what va'avadatem is, that it is speaking in third person.
Yeah, the shlishi is saying, if you serve the Eibishter properly, azai, yeah,
then he will give you bracha.
Hainu.
Sha'avaya sha'alav nemar va'avadatem es Hashem Elokeichem yivarech es achmecha v'esmimecha. This means that
it's telling you what the Eibishter will do for you. He will bless you. Who is he? Doesn't say. But la'achar zeh.
Achar zeh meisif v'asiresi machla mikarbecha v'asiresi l'shayin nechiach. Right after that it says, I will remove sickness from amongst you, which is first person.
Shashlishi hamedaber eimer.
Shashlishi hamedaber eimer shehu ba'atzma yaser machla mikarbecha. Implied that Hashem himself, Havaya Aaron Seif Baruch Hu, will remove machla from you. So it's basically the Shlishi hamedaber is saying what Hashem will do.
What he will do. Not what Hashem will do, but what he will do.
Right. Because the third person is Aaron Seif Baruch Hu.
So Hashem is saying what you will do if you serve him? It's not like the third person, somebody else is saying what Hashem will do.
Right. Move on. From this we
then move on.
Yeah.
Move on. She'inyan ha'avayda negea leirach l'shem havaya. Ella gam l'shisham daber. B'chinas atzmus umhus ein Seif Baruch Hu.
How does that prove? How does this prove that the Eibishter is affected?
Ella gam v'asiresi machla gamer. The atzmus umhus ein Seif Baruch Hu.
So in the pasuk itself, where it says "Va'avadatem es Hashem Elokeichem," and the kasha is, how can you serve him if he doesn't need anything? So what does Kabbalah say? On a lower level, he does need. On the higher level, he doesn't need your avodah. So the Rebbe is saying, but take a look at the end of the pasuk. The end of the pasuk says, "I will take away your machala if you serve the Eibishter," which means that I, the Eibishter himself, will respond to your avodah. If you do this, I will do this. So if the Eibishter himself is responding, then obviously he was affected by what you did.
So the Shlishi HaMedaber is saying what Hashem will do, and then at the end Hashem says, is that confirming, like, yeah, I will.
And I will get involved. And I will give you the cure.
Which is what the Shlishi HaMedaber was saying.
That's the Eibishter. So the first part of the pasuk is talking about Seder Ishtalshelus. Va'avadatem es Hashem Elokeichem. You should serve the Eibishter on the level of Ishtalshelus. Because over there, what you do has an effect. But then the end of the pasuk says, if you do this avodah, then I, Eibishter, myself, will bless you. So when was the Eibishter himself blessing you? When you do the avodah. Doesn't that mean that the avodah affects him? Because he's responding. So the answer in Kabbalah that the avadatem is only on the lower levels doesn't seem to be consistent with what the pasuk is saying.
Could the thing in the psukim not be touched that it's basically a deal? Meaning, can I make a deal with you in a way that it doesn't affect me?
Of course, if it doesn't affect you, why are you reacting? It's like saying, if you make me happy, I'll make you happy. So we do make the Eibishter happy. So we need a better answer. Where is the avodah affecting the Eibishter and where is it not? Yeah.
We have to understand
how can the Eibishter himself be affected when you tell me that in the levels higher than the Shtalshalus, he doesn't care?
get affected. Right. Answer, a possible answer. שזה שאמרו רז"ל וכי מה אכפת לי לקדוש ברוך הוא קאי על אביידה עצמה. That which they say, that which Razal say, what difference does it make to Hashem? That's referring to Aveda itself. Dahainu Prate Haveda. Dahainu Prate Haveda. The particular details, the details of the Aveda. Avol Hatetzah Shel Aveda, but the outcome of the Aveda, the result, Sha'ayada Nase Tzeref Habriyos, that through that it affects the creations. She'gam Babriyos Ba'alma Bria Psucha. Chusa. I'm not going to try to translate that.
What does it mean, Tziruf Habriyos? It means that even Briyos, you're not even calling them people, you're just calling them creations, which means Briya Pchusa, a very low-level creature. Even in such a low-level creature, Na'aseh Tziruf V'zichuch. This low-level creature becomes refined and purified through the mitzvah or through the avodah. Shezehu inyan es hapcha meyesh la'ayin. What does it mean to become edel or refined, purified? It means you stop being such a yesh and you become ayin. That's the result, the teitzah of the avodah. Hinei zeh negeya gam bebechinas ha'atzmus.
What matters to Ein Sof Baruch Hu is not the Avodah itself, not what you're doing to make the refinement happen, rather the refinement, what comes out of it. The Tzeref Habriyos. Fine.
So let's think of it like this. The Gemara says, the Eibishter doesn't really care whether you're shechted this way or shechted that way. So you see, the mitzvahs are only for the briyos. So what conclusion do you come to from that? The Eibishter doesn't need the mitzvah because he doesn't care how you shecht an animal. So what are the mitzvahs for? To make people better. So how do you come to the conclusion that the Eibishter doesn't need anything? The Gemara just told you what he does need. The Gemara said, the Eibishter doesn't care whether you shech this way or that way. He just wants you to become higher. So does he want something or not? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People say that this Gemara is telling you that the Eibishter doesn't care. Is that what the Gemara is saying, that he doesn't care?
Apparently not.
It's the opposite. The Gemara is telling you what he does care about. He doesn't care about how you shech the animal. What he cares about is that you should become refined. So does he care or doesn't care?
Why would the Gemara use language like that, saying it doesn't make it?
No, it's just a false misunderstanding. The Gemara says, "Loi nitnu hamitzvos elo letzarif behemes habriyos." Loi nitnu hamitzvos, which means the Eibishter gave the mitzvah for only one reason: to make you better. So that's his reason. Where did you come to the conclusion that he has no reason? So when people say, the Eibishter doesn't need anything, he doesn't need anything, he just wants you to get better. Wait a minute, so he does need something. So what they're saying is, he doesn't need anything for himself, he needs something for you. Okay, so he needs. Where do you get a message that he doesn't need? Where does it say that? The Gemara is not saying that he doesn't need. The Gemara is telling you exactly what he does need. So he doesn't need you to shech this way or that way, but he needs you to become a mensch. So we're back to the same question. Why does he care whether you're a mensch or not? If he doesn't care how you shecht, because he's much higher than that, so why does he care if you're a mensch or not? He should be higher than that too.
So v'chima ichbasle is referring to the action of shechting an animal, not the result.
Right.
But the result of the mitzvah is, but the result of the shechita makes you a mensch. Why does he need something for you? What do you mean? He needs something for you, or are we not affecting him? We're not really. So in essence, we're not really doing what he needs. We're doing what we need. He's just telling us what we need. Is that what the Gemara is saying?
No.
Because he wants us to be a mensch.
He wants. I don't. I don't want to be a mensch. He wants me to be a mensch. And that's why he gave us the mitzvahs. We didn't ask for them. So now the question is, now we know. What does the Eibishter want or need? That you should become higher, refined. Now the question is, what does it mean to become refined? And how does a mitzvah do that? He gave us the mitzvahs, that the mitzvah should make us refined. How does a mitzvah make you refined? So if you shech the behemoth from the front, it'll make you refined. If you shech it from the back, it won't make you refined. Why? What's the difference? So let's keep learning.
This is what the pasuk means when it says,
who is going to remove all sickness from you?
Hashem.
ולא כמו שנאמר לפני זה, what is the difference between the two brachas? One bracha says, all the sicknesses of Mitzrayim I will not give you. Our pasuk says, I will remove whatever sickness you have. What's the difference?
One's a positive and one's a negative.
Yeah,
What?
say, keep a pasuk called hamachala.
Pasuk kol hamachlo gemer loy asim medubar rak oidis efsharas l'machla. The pasuk that says kol hamachla, all the sicknesses that I give you Mitzrayim, that is speaking about the possibilities of getting sick.
And the bracha is?
Va'brachi she'efsharas zu loy tavei l'payil. This possibility will never happen.
Right. You could get sick like the Mitzvim, but I won't let you.
Avo b'pasuk v'asiresi machla kemer yesh chidush gadol yeser. There's a big chidush with saying, I will remove all sicknesses from amongst you. Shagam kishayeshno machla b'payel leirak afsharas l'machla tiye hasaras hamachla.
That even if you go down to such a low madrege, where you did get sick, the Eibishter will remove that sickness. Ubishvil hasaras hamachla shekvar yeshno b'payel. And in order to remove a machla that already happened, yesh tzerich b'kayach elyon yeser. Right? To block a sickness from happening is not so difficult. To remove a sickness that already happened, that's a lot harder. So you need a kayach elyon.
So does this imply that Kol Machla Shar Santim Mitzrayim, that is referring to the lower level of Havaya?
No, because it's still Lashon Neichach.
So then what's the difference in the two psukim? They're both the same Lashon.
Yeah, they're both coming from the Eibishter, but one is deeper than the other. Because both psukim are Lashon Neichach. Kol HaMachla Asher Santi Loi Osim, I will not.
Right. It's the same.
Neichach.
Same medaber.
Uh-huh. Okay, one more. V'hinei inyan ha'aveda.
Hinei inyan ha'aveda avavad temes avaya lekechem.
Yeah.
Shehu bedugmas avedas ha'eved. The inyan of aveda of va'avad temes avaya lekechem, which is comparable, resembles avodah of a slave. Kai beikar al avodah the yid of a kabbalas oil. This is talking about the ikar of all avodah in general, I believe, which is yira, yiras Hashem, and kabbalas oil. Or yira, not necessarily, yira kabbalas oil, not necessarily yiras Hashem, because we're speaking about avodah sa'eved. Shehi avodah sa'eved, because that is type of service, the type of avodah done by an eved. So eved inay teifes makim la'achmei. The eved does not take up any of his own space, so to speak.
Because there's an avodas haben, how a son serves his father, and there's avodas eved, how an eved serves his master. The difference between them: a son serves his father because he wants to. He wants to, which means there's a person, and what he wants is important. He happens to want the right thing. By an Eved, he doesn't want, he has to. So there's no importance to him himself. Whether he wants, he doesn't want, doesn't matter. By a son, he's serving his father because he wants. What if he didn't want? Then he would be a Ben Rosha. So it makes a difference whether he wants or not. By an Eved, it doesn't make a difference. You're in the mood, you want, you don't want. You got to do what the Odin tells you. So he's not a Metzias independent of the master. He has no independence at all. See what he says about it. How so?
He is the af shemitzad atzmai be'afkera nichale, even though mitzad atzmai
he would rather be hefker.
That would be hefker and free. Harehu bechivutz ulitol el ha'adam. Nevertheless, he is still limited to the bittul of his adon, of his master. Therefore, he carries out the master's will, no matter what.
In other words, being an Eved and serving the Odin are like a contradiction. Why is he an Eved? Why isn't he a master? Why doesn't he have a house and hire an Eved to run his house? Because he doesn't want to have a house. It's too much responsibility. So the nature of an Eved is that he doesn't want responsibility. He wants to be hefker. And yet, he is so not independent that he can't even go according to his nature. He has to serve the Adin against his nature. That's called real Kabbalah soil. You know what Kabbalah soil means? Carrying the yoke, right?
Yeah.
Who wears a yoke?
A bull.
A bull schlepping a plow wears a yoke.
Right.
But it's the teva of a bull to do that. So the bull is accepting the yoke because he doesn't have anything better to do. But an Eved, dafke, is allergic to a yoke. So for the Eved to have Kabbalah soil goes against his nature. So you want to hear something really nice? There was a chassid who, in the early years, was one of the few who left Russia and went to Israel. He was a Zionist. So he wanted to go build a Medina. So he left Russia and he became a Zionist. When the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America, he was able to call him. See, he called this guy who was once a chassid, and he said to him, "What's happening with you?" So the chassid said, "Avda behefkeira." I'm like a slave who wants to be hefker, but loy nichale, I'm not enjoying it. I'm hefker, but I'm not enjoying it. Because the Lashon is avda behefkeira nichale. When a Eved is hefker, he likes it. So this chassid said, I'm a hefker, but I don't like it. My conscience is bothering me. And if I'm not mistaken, that guy was the president of Israel. President Shazar. V'zehu shereishis hu aveda v'ikra v'sharsho. Says in Tanya, reishis hu aveda v'ikra v'sharsho.
He Haveda the Kabbalah soil.
Not Avas Hashem. This is the Chiddush in Tanya. That the beginning and the essence and the root of whole Aveda is not via Haftas Hashem Elikecha. It's Kabbalah soil. V'ahafta is more like a ben, not like an Eved. So the Alter Rebbe says the beginning is Kabbalah soil. V'hainu, which means Shalam reis hi yesei b'mayim edu matzav. Shaloi shina es atzmei. Even though he is in a condition where he hasn't changed himself, Ritzeinei, the things that he wants, Sichlei, what he knows and understands, Umideisav, and his character, hat sich nicht übergemacht und steht in seiner Ritzeines. He's remained himself. He doesn't have Avas Hashem. And even so, Harehu Eved as Avedose b'derech Kabbalah self. He does what he has to do without wanting it. How is that possible? How can you do the right thing if you don't want to be right? You want to read?
Because with regards to somebody's actual maaseh, what he actually does, Kima mitzvahs and staying away from ra and doing good stuff. It's not possible for him to wait until he fixes himself.
Mm-hmm.
Ella, instead, even while he is who he is right now, nevertheless, he has to serve Hashem, do his work with Kabbalah's O. The same applies to Avaida every single day. We start off the day with saying Maida'ani. That we start off our day with Maida'ani and Haidu. Sha'id Lefnei has Benanus, the Psukkah de Zimra. Even before we get into this Benanus of Psukkah de Zimra, Lefnei has Benanus the Birchais Kriyas Shema. Kriyas Shema Shemana Esrei Eimer Hu Haidu Lavaya. Chinas Haida'a. Shazuhi Avaida Derech Kabbalas El Dafka. So even before Psukkah de Zimra, and before Kriyas Shema, and before Shemana Esrei, we say Haidu Lavaya, Haidu Hashem.
So all of those things, like Psukkah de Zimra, that can inspire you. That can make you want. In Psukkah de Zimra, it talks about how the Eibishter feeds everyone and takes care of everyone. So if you think about that, you might want to serve the Eibishter. If you go into Birchas Krishma, where the Malachim are so excited about the Eibishter, that might make you want to serve the Eibishter. But before all of that, you already have to serve him with Kabbalah Sel. What is he saying here? Now that we know that the Eibishter needs our Avodah, even on the highest level, now we have to know, what does Avodah mean? So the Rebbe said, Avodah doesn't mean enjoy it. If you enjoy it, you're some kind of a tzaddik, that's kind of a reward. But before you enjoy it, that's the real Avodah. Because Avodah means like an Eved. And an Eved does what he has to do, not because he enjoys it. So now we have a definition of what is Avodas Hashem. What's the connection? If the Eibishter didn't need my mitzvahs, then why would I do them? Only because I want to. If he doesn't need it, why would I do it? Because I need it. Now, if he doesn't need it and I don't need it, I'm not doing it. So when is it possible to have Kabbalah Soil? Only if the Eibishter needs it. Does this make sense? If the Eibishter doesn't need my Avodah, then why would I do it when I don't want to? He doesn't need it, and I don't want it. So what am I doing? The only way that Kabbalah Soil makes any sense is if you're an Eved, you have a boss, and the boss needs your service. So if he needs your service, then whether you want to or not, whether you like it or not, none of your business, you have to do it. But if you tell me that my master, my owner, doesn't want it, I'm still going to do it? Why would I do it? Who am I doing it for? So now that we know that the Eibishter does want your mitzvahs, now we understand why you do a mitzvah even when you don't want.
I think so.
A Rav can't make his Adon do something that he doesn't need necessarily, something that it could be something that he wants. I want you to, or it could just be something that just to get him under control, just like go sweep the beach.
Yeah, so Al Pi Din, you're not allowed to do that to an Eved Ivri. It's cruel and unusual punishment. To tell your Eved to do something that is useless. That's one of the reasons that Mitzrayim or Pare was punished. The Eibishter said that the Eden are going to be enslaved, and that's Ratzon Elyon. So the Mitzrayim enslaved them exactly the way the Eibishter wanted, so why'd you punish them? Because when the Eibishter said you're going to be slaves, he meant slaves who do things that are worth doing. The Mitzrayim made the Yidden build cities that they didn't need and then knocked it down and told them to build it again. For that they were punished. So Al Pi Din, the Eibishter is not allowed to make us do mitzvahs that he doesn't need. So since the Eibishter is orthodox, he wouldn't ask us to do something he doesn't need. And he certainly would not punish us for not doing what he doesn't need.
Good.
You're still saying that the Eibishter, you're giving him something that he didn't have before. How does that work?
It's a very good question. He's not even asking that. How come he's not even asking that? He says, if the Eibishter doesn't need anything, how can you serve him? The answer is he does need. Nobody's asking, how can he need? But what is the answer? So B'kitzer, without getting into a whole arichas, if you're talking about a madrege of godliness, and it's a very high madrege, you could say, on such a high madrege, how could he need? Yeah, that makes sense. If you're very high, why would you go down so low? But if you're talking about the Eibishter, the question doesn't apply, because you can't say that the Eibishter is so high. He's not high. He's everything. So how can you say, and people are actually saying it, the Eibishter can't care about anything. He can't? Who are you talking about? You're telling the Eibishter what he can or cannot do? No, he's too high. Too high? You mean he can't come down low? Who made such a rule on him? He makes the rules, not you. So you're right. If you're talking about a very high madrege, Chochma d'Atzilus, Chochma d'Atzilus can't come down into a physical object. But then you're saying that the same thing is true of the Eibishter? He can't? What can't he? The whole language doesn't even make sense. He can, he can't. Are you talking about the Eibishter? You're putting him in his place? I'm sorry, you can't come down so low. Well, you're not talking about the Eibishter at all. So then the question is, so if the Eibishter does need, then he's not perfect. The Eibishter doesn't need to be perfect. In other words, perfect is also a need. The Eibishter doesn't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to be high. He doesn't have to be great. He doesn't have to be perfect. He is whatever he wants to be. So he can be perfect, and he can need, and he can be high and low all at the same time.
What about changing?
Because you're not talking about a high madrege. You're talking about him.
Right. What about the fact that he's changing? Something's changing by him.
It's a good question. Is there really a change? What changed? Look, the Eibishter wants a dira b'tachtenim. It's taking 3,000 years to make a dira b'tachtenim. So when it finally becomes a dira b'tachtenim, something changed. Not by the Eibishter. The change is going to be in us. That we will finally understand the dira b'tachtenim. But as far as the Eibishter is concerned, it already is. It's almost like a man asks a woman to marry him, and he goes and he builds a house. The house is built, everything is ready. She missed her flight. A day later, she finally arrives. So what changed for the chassan? Nothing. He already moved into the house. So nothing changed for him. What changed was her. She finally got there. So as far as the Eibishter is concerned, the world is already his dira b'tachtenim. Just we haven't shown up yet.
But even that's a change also, though, no? If he wants us to realize it too, and we didn't yet, and then we do.
Yeah, okay. So that's a beautiful, yes, he wants us to. But what does it mean he wants us to do it? It means he wants to wait until we're ready and we do it by ourselves. So that might take time. But that's not going against his will. The fact that it takes time, that's what he wants. See, when he created the world, he said, Yehi Eir, Vayehi Eir. You don't mess with him. He says Yehi, you better Yehi. So the Eibishter said Yehi, Vayehi. Because if not, then he would be imperfect. He said, and it didn't happen. Now, by the Aseres Hadibris, the Eibishter said, Zocher es Yom HaShabbos l'katshei, and not yet. Doesn't that mean he's imperfect? He said, and it didn't happen. So the answer is, we have Bechira. He gave us Bechira, so we can say no. I understand that. But if he says yes, and you can say no, then he's not perfect. When he gives you Bechira, it doesn't mean you decide if you want to keep Shabbos. It's up to you. You have Bechira. No. He says, Zocheres Yom HaShabbos. I want you to keep Shabbos. And we don't. Come on, that's an imperfection in him. The answer is, Zocheres Yom HaShabbos means you become Shabbosdik. Not I'm telling you to be. So what does the Eibishter want? He wants us to take all the time that is necessary until we become Shabbosdik. So it's not against his will that it takes time. That's what he wants. So in Maaseh Bereishis Yehi Eir, he didn't want the world to grow into Eir. He wanted Eir, so he got Eir. But with us, he wants us to grow into Shabbos. And that obviously is going to take time. It's okay with him. So the fact that we don't immediately keep Shabbos is not against his ratzon. If it was possible that we will never keep Shabbos, then there's a problem. Then his ratzon is frustrated. And if his ratzon can be frustrated, then he's not perfect. So that's why it's not a kasha why we don't keep Shabbos, And there's also no suffix that in the end we will keep Shabbos. There's a mashal that is given, I remember exactly for what. Somebody said, you have a pitcher, and he is one of the greatest pitchers of all time because he is very multi-talented. You know why? To him, it doesn't matter whether he is in the east and the batter is in the west, or whether he's in the west and the batter is in the east, because this pitcher can throw both ways. He can throw to the east and he can throw to the west. Now it's amazing because when he first started out, he could only throw to the east. Then he turned around and he threw to the west. A change. He gained something. The answer, he didn't gain anything. He can throw. What's the difference in which direction? So somehow that's a mashal on the Eibishter, that when the world becomes what he wants it to be, that's a psachidush. That's a new talent he has. It was always like that. Only you also do it now. Like the Eibishter knows what you're going to do, and then you do it. See, a change happened. A minute ago, he was predicting you were going to do it. Now you did it already. By the Eibishter, you did it already. So in a sense, and this is really the greatness of the Eibishter, by the Eibishter, Mashiach came already. Right? Because Hoya, Heve, V'yiyeh. By him, the future is already done. So as far as he's concerned, Mashiach came already. And yet, he wants Mashiach more than we do. Because Mashiach came as far as he's concerned, but Mashiach did not come to us. And that bothers him, even though to him Mashiach already came. So in some sense, to the Rebbe, Mashiach already came. For the Rebbe himself, he was not in Golus anymore. So what was he crying about? What was he screaming? What was he so upset? He was upset that Mashiach didn't come to us. If you already have Mashiach, how much is it going to bother you that some people don't? The Eibishter already has Mashiach. How much does it bother him that we don't have Mashiach? It bothers him just as much as if he didn't have Mashiach. So by the Eibishter, it's not going to be a chiddush, but for us it will be a big chiddush. And our chiddush is so important to him that he suffers when we don't have it.